video is sponsored by Squarespace.
It is September on the farm, and the moment I've been waiting for all year has finally happened. The zinnias are blooming. Very few things on the farm got done on schedule this year, and one of the casualties was our zinnias. Instead of doing seedlings, the plan this year was I was gonna direct seed, make everything easier. Zinnias grow so easy. There's no reason they wouldn't grow from direct seed, except for a bug came and ate them all. So I direct seeded again, and then a bug came and ate them all again. And then I was like, okay, I guess we have to start seedlings. So by the time the zinnia seedling transplants got in, they were already pretty delayed. Normally we would have zinnias in, mid-July, kind of be available for us all summer. Here we are. It is currently the beginning of September, and this is kind of the first week that we've really had a lot to use. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. We've had, a great flow of flowers throughout the summertime. And one of the things that I always struggle with the zinnias is when they first bloom like this, they look so gorgeous. They look beautiful. The flowers are big, the plants are healthy, they're happy. But as the season goes on, they start to get affected by downy mildew. The flowers, they get slowly smaller, they kind of start to fizzle out. And most farms, they deal with this by doing a succession plant, but usually I'm just so busy by the time summer comes, I never do get a fall planting of zinnias done. So this year, because we only have a fall planting, it means we're gonna be doing great for zinnias until the end of our season. We have 2 full beds of zinnias here, but we also have this gorgeous bed over here. So let's go look at it. The weather on the farm right now is gorgeous. It's full on summer. It's almost 100 degrees out. I'm very hot. I'm very sweaty right now. But school's back in, even though it is really nice right now, and it's probably gonna be nice next week too. It is fall. The season is coming to an end. With the zinnias, with them just starting, we're gonna get 6 weeks of really happy, healthy flowers, which is gonna be perfect because we usually shut down the farm for Canadian Thanksgiving, which falls in the middle of October. So I'm really excited to have this gorgeous collection of zinnias that's gonna last me until the end of the season. Down here behind that zinnia bed, we have some exciting stuff that hasn't really been shown much this year. There's a couple beds of perennial plantings here. So this I was super excited to discover. This, I think it was called Peter Cottontail. And even though it looks like a double feverfew, what this actually is a yarrow. So that means it's super drought tolerant, nice and cold hardy. It got planted really late, so it's quite short, but it should get enough height to be a good cutting stem. But yeah, so it's really exciting to see this establishing in, because this kind of got planted in, I don't know, like end of June. Got in really late. So I'm sure that this is gonna have a lot of good potential in the years to come. And it'll be interesting to see what the timing is like for the feverfew. If this can bloom a little bit later, a little bit earlier than the feverfew, like that would be a super exciting succession to have on the farm. And then back here, it needs to get weeded, so it's a little bit tricky to tell. But this is a bed of delphinium, and they got planted super late too. Normally you'd want to get these in early spring, and then they'd bloom early summer. These got in very, very late, but they are surviving. There is plants in here, and I was taking a peek the other day, and there was a few that looked like they might be starting to get a flowering stem on it. So maybe we'll even have a couple fall delphiniums to get to play with this year. This bed used to be the end of the farm, the very bottom. This is an entire bed of miscanthus grasses, and its only purpose is to grow all year. So for fall season, we can get these grass plumes, and I can stick them into bouquets to do, you know, like a harvest style bouquet. I love them. They've just started to bloom. So these, like, they'll fluff out still more. But these, they do really well, and, like, you know, they're so easy to grow, really low water needs. They just come back bigger and bigger every year. They're, you know, they're a beautiful landscaping plant, just these big clumps of grass. You know, so it's not necessarily something I'd recommend as a cut flower, but I really like having them. And then behind me is two big, huge beds of sedum. There's probably, I don't know, I think maybe 1,500, 2,000 plants that are planted in here. This is just the first year for them. So, you know, it's not necessarily going to be a harvest. They kind of just send up like a single stem in that first year. But year after year, these are going to come back. And this is on the very, very edge of the farm. And the plan for planting this here is sedum has very, very low water needs. Sedum has such low water needs that it has been a little bit tricky for us to grow it, because even the drought tolerant stuff like yarrow, where we limit how much water it gets, is still more water than what the sedum likes. So being on the very edge of the farm here, it's just, you know, we watered this a few times after it got planted, you know, so like it got some water in July type thing. But honestly, I feel like it probably hasn't been watered in over a month, and it's happy and thriving. It's you know, it's doing what it wants. So, you know, this will be an awesome low maintenance filler, you know, for years to come. Another crop, which we normally would have had all summer long, and it would be kind of starting to fade out, but because of our delayed schedule, is this Queen Anne's lace. The variety here is called Green Mist, and it's one of my favorite. It has a really, really nice scent to it. I love working with it, and it's a little bit more frilly, like fern-like in the foliage. You know, I love this. Because it got planted so late, you know, I'm kind of kneeling down. You can see these plants aren't very tall. Normally, this plant would be as tall as I am. But even though it's stunted because of that, you know, it's still plenty tall enough to get, you know, each one of these plants in here. Because I think we have 150 plants of this, and each one of these is gonna, you know, give me 4 stems each by the time, you know, it finishes all of its different blooms. So, you know, this is going to be great for me over the next few weeks to have as a filler. You know, it looks so formal. It really elevates the bouquets. You know, this isn't what I'm going to put with the sunflowers. This is what I'm going to put with some of the more delicate flowers, like the next one I'll show you. I have almost 2 beds of Strawflowers, and I said I was like, oh, I'm never going to grow these again. Last year we grew Strawflowers just for the flower heads. When I came to harvest them, I just picked all the flower heads off, and at this point I have a lifetime supply of Strawflower heads. You know, I can make all the crafts in the world, and they last forever because they dry so well. So this year I was like, you know, let's put in a bed of Strawflowers and let's do them actually for in the bouquets. So they're finally at the point now that I've been harvesting them. You know, we got enough of a stem length here to get them into bouquets, and I've been really loving them. It's been a few years since I've had them to work with in bouquets. I had gone away from them because they don't add a lot of value. You put this into the bouquet, the flowers are quite small. It doesn't necessarily look punchy the way a sunflower or a zinnia looks. And so because of that, you know, I can't necessarily put this in, and even though it has 4 flowers, say it's worth $5 or anything. You know, so the labor was just maybe not the best equation on them. But they really add a lot to the bouquets, and I've been building some of these smaller, more feminine bunches, you know, like with the Queen Anne's lace and things like that. And yeah, no, I really like them, and I have lots. But the real money in the bouquets are things like this sunflower hedge. And it's at the stage right now that's perfect to show you what happens when we do our planting it every 2 weeks with having a mix of different sunflower system. So you can kind of see there's some darker flowers over here, clumped together, and then we have all of the doubles over here, and then it's less obvious because we did a pick and we picked most of them. But this hedge over here has some of the whites, and some of the reds that are coming on, and then this, which is our last succession of all, is just starting with the plum colored sunflowers. So this is 4 plantings in total, and because when we plant out a mix of seeds, in each of these patches, the different colors are timed just a little bit different. So even though everything doesn't bloom out at once, the system works really well together. So we grow pro-cut sunflowers, and the quickest one comes on in 60 days, and then the slowest one is the double quick. And honestly, this year it feels like it's more like 80, 90 days even is how long it's taking from seed to flower. So, you know, as that first plum comes up in 60 days, 62 days, we're getting the classic orange with the dark center. At 65 days, we're getting the other one. But because they're all kind of working together in a system, at this point, we have all the colors at the same time, and it's a really nice way to manage the patch. Unfortunately, ideally, I would like one more planting. We still have 6 weeks, and because this has just started, and I said that the double quick, the double, is coming on about a month later, this means that I'm probably gonna be getting those doubles in a month, and then I'm gonna have a couple weeks at the end with no sunflowers, which will make me sad, because if I could have sunflowers every day for bouquet building, that would make me happy. The one thing that isn't going to run out before the season ends, though, is the marigolds. This marigold patch I've been picking off of for 2 weeks now, and I'm in heaven. I love marigolds. At this point, we had an e-sissup right over there, but it isn't able to be picked anymore. The flowers just kind of spent on it, but it was such a valuable filler, and I like didn't have another. It's kind of the last filler in the succession. So at this point, the marigolds are my filler, which is intentional. That was my plan. But each of these marigold stems, like when I cut a stem, it's like, here, we'll just break this off to show you. This is like what a marigold stem looks like. So I leave the greenery on, and I use it as like a filler and a flower. Right? So it adds a lot of bulk to the bouquets, because I'll put like 1 or 2 of these in each of the bouquets. It makes it very impactful. It has this green that fills in, and then the flowers are so fun and punchy that, I really like working with them. Nothing says fall like an orange and red zinnia and a sunflower and a couple marigolds and a little bit of Statice. Ultimate fall bouquet. But I mean, they're gorgeous. How could you not want this all over your house? As I said, the yellow marigolds I've been picking for a few weeks now, but behind me is the succession of orange marigolds, and they just started this week. These got planted a little bit later. We got the first yellow marigolds in, and then things were just busy, so it was hard to get all the marigolds planted. But it's worked out quite well. Honestly, if I could only grow 1 marigold at this point, I would do this this golden one. This is cocoa gold, but we also grow the cocoa orange, and this is cocoa yellow, and mixed in here too is zoshi, which is gorgeous. But I mean, this color, this like warm, this like soft warm orange, I just love it. And like I said, I want a marigold to be the base for almost every single one of my bouquets. So over the years, I've developed a few like sister plants that I always want together. And so with the Cocoa Gold, I gotta have my favorite Cosmo, which is this beautiful violet double click Cosmo. The color on this is, you know, when I first grew it, I really struggled to work with it. I was blending it with things and it just, I was like, it's kind of a cool tone. It got almost like blue undertones to this, which made it hard for me to pair with like more of the warm pinks that I had. But my favorite thing to do with bouquets is to do strong contrasting colors. And so on the opposite side of the color wheel from orange is blue. And so these blue tones in this, when I pair it with the orange marigolds, is just so punchy and so fun. And the customers love it. As soon as I can have the Cocoa Gold and the violet double click, those bouquets just fly off the shelf. So, you know, very happy to have both of these back on in the farm right now. You know, and we're drowning in marigolds. We put in 3 beds in total. You know, the marigolds, so our normal planting, like what the zinnias are planted on, I mean, I think we even did the marigolds on this spacing. Normally we have 400 plants per bed. We kind of space them by 6 inches. The Cosmos just get so big and so unruly that we space them by a foot. So these Cosmo beds only have 150 plants per bed as opposed to the 400 that you'd normally see. But they're beasts. They produce so much. They're almost like hard to keep on top of. So I just did a huge pick. I just like picked for market. I picked like 4 massive bucket armfuls and it's like just never ending. So 6 weeks worth of Cosmos, definitely. We will have Cosmos till the bitter end. The final fall MPV here on the farm, what all these bouquets are gonna be made out of from now until the end, is Statice. Statice I love. It's probably one of my favorite plants to grow. But it can be frustrating because the first flowers are quite short. Too short to use in the bouquets. But at this point, you know, the first couple blooms have been finished and so now everything is getting to be a really good height. They start to produce less stems, but they're taller. So at this time of year, it's a lot more reasonable to come out and pick. Statice, when it's in like its first flush, is just so overwhelming for me. I'll be picking on it for like 10 hours and it's like, there's still a million flowers left to pick. At this point, I can come in here and if I wanted to pick this entire bed clean, it would probably only take me 4 hours. But because the flowers last for so long, what I tend to do is I'll come and I'll pick half of it every week for 2 hours. And so it keeps it so I always have fresh Statice to use in the bouquets, but also there's always stuff available for the following week. So I love it. Makes me happy. I really love the fall bouquets. Honestly, I mean, the flowers out here are great. The farm looks incredible. You know, it's just, I mean, it's weeds everywhere, but it's also flowers everywhere. And the days soon are gonna get cooler. We're gonna start to get some cooler nights. There's no planting left to do at this point on the farm. It's kind of, September is the sweet spot where we get a little bit of a breather, which is convenient because it's back to school. So we're usually a bit busy with that. But yeah, it's a really nice time of year to be able to try to get a little bit caught up on the end of season jobs without being overwhelmed by everything. So it's weedy, it's messy, but there's lots of flowers. The flowers are healthy, and I'm going to have some time coming up to be able to deal with it. Okay, but I've spent all day today getting ready for the farmer's market tomorrow, and so I have like 75 of the most beautiful bouquets ever laying around. So I think we need to tour that as well.
That's good.
Welcome to my mess. but there's some good stuff here. Check out this. Check out these bouquets. Rainbow zinnias. So we got Cosmo, zinnias, marigolds, Statice. I love those. And then I got some rainbow bouquets. So this is the exact same recipe as this. The only difference is that I use the pink Cosmos instead of the white. But you know, it's kind of a good example of how changing out one flower can create totally different looking bouquets, right? These don't look like the same bouquet, even though they are. Then I got these ones. So this is the Plum Pro Cut that was blooming this week on our last planting, and they turned out really well. So I was like, oh, I gotta do bouquets featuring them. They're such like a perfect fall. But I love the pink and the orange. Yeah, this is the dream team combo right there. And then here's an example of what I was saying about the Strawflowers and the Queen Anne's lace, creating like a little bit more of a different look, something a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more feminine. You know, but yet again, this is a filler, a handful of zinnias, a couple Cosmos, and then just the Strawflowers in there. You know, you don't need a lot of options to be able to make it look like there's a lot of different bouquet options. Here's another example. So this is the exact same bouquet as the one that I just showed you, except for I did white zinnias and white Cosmos instead of the apricot Cosmos. But yeah, they look totally different. Oh, okay, this is my, so because it's fall, I have to start making my fall bouquets. I make this every year and it's always a bestseller. It's sunflower, this Rubenza Cosmo, and then orange and red zinnias with a marigold. It's pretty hot. It's like summer beach weather this weekend. So it doesn't feel like fall, but because it's September, it's time to start making these. So I'm really interested to see if they're gonna, if the customers are gonna be telling me it's fall this week by buying these. And then this is my newest creation. I came up with this last week and I'm in love. Look how good that looks. So this is an apricot Cosmo, an orange marigold, salmon zinnia, and then the salmon Strawflowers, and a little bit of the apricot Statice. Isn't that such a fun pairing? It's bright, but it's also like feminine. I love staring at these. Because it's new, I love it the most. But yeah, things are looking pretty good. And you know, and it feels good, right? Like at this point, with it only being 6 weeks until the season's over, I can confidently look at the farm and know that I'm gonna have the flowers to be able to have the sales until the end of the season, which, you know, is huge. That's the goal. The goal is to sell for all the weeks. So, you know, I'm feeling really good, and it makes me really happy to be out there and see all the flowers. I couldn't grow all these flowers if I didn't have anywhere to sell them. So it's so important to me that, you know, these flowers are available for going down to the market. But one of the best ways to sell things for a business is with a website, and Squarespace can help you with that. Squarespace is an all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your terms. I love how easy they make it for me to build a website. Squarespace Blueprint AI is a guided design system that helps you build your dream website. And Fluid Engine, the next generation website editor, lets you customize every design detail. Whether you're building an online store or offering courses, Squarespace has you and me covered. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/youcan'teatthegrass to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.